Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Beaufort County Transportation Committee meeting of Wednesday, September 18th. Will we have a call to order, please? Roll call.
Chairman Gordon?
Here.
Vice Chair Hammond?
Excused.
Jim Backer?
Here.
Clarence Daniel?
Here.
Craig Forrest?
Here.
John Glover?
Unexcused.
David Johnson?
Here.
Virginia Kozak? Paul Manning?
Here.
Charles Perry?
Here.
Timothy Newman?
Here.
And with that, we'll have an introduction of our newest member, David Johnson, who's joining us from District 11. David, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
All right, everybody, please rise and let's do our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's also our customary to go around the room and have introductions. Brian, we'll start with you.
Brian Bauer, Interim Director of Engineering for Beaufort County.
Rusty.
Excuse me, Rusty Bronson.
Yes, you will.
County Engineer.
Lindsay Keziah, Transportation Engineer with Davis Lloyd.
Chris Ulmer, Transportation Engineer, David Wood.
Jason Farrell, Area Manager, Blind Construction.
Jim Maloney, Transportation Engineer, Town of Hilton Head.
Tracy Root, RCE with South Carolina DOT, Beaufort Jasper.
Mike Healy, SCDOT, RE, Jasper Ravens.
And I'm Mike Edgardi, I'm here representing Galify.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Trevor Booth, off the sign, Visited from Augusta, with my son Tracy Booth.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here that has public comment to our agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes. July 17th. You've had them. Is there any corrections or objections that need to be made? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Jenny, you'll be the second then.
Okay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business. Tracy, you're up first.
Good afternoon, Chairman and the board. We can go to the first slide. We finally, from the last time we were here, we actually got some updates for what's going on with Land's End. The subcontractor will start mixing on the 23rd, which is a Monday, for about 4 days. Then they'll start doing milling on the 27th, which will take about a day. And then that Saturday, about another day to do paving. So we finally got some movement. We finally got the mix designs in for OMR, coordinated with the contractor who has a sub, come to agreement. Next slide. On Island Causeway, as you know, this work is currently going on. They're going to start mixing this Friday. And next week, on Monday, they're going to take about 2 days to do milling, and then another 2 days to do paving. And hopefully everything goes right, the weather holds, they should be finished that Friday. And so what we've done is we had some coordination. We had a few calls come in, as you're aware. It's been several months. The residents have been looking for this job to start. So once it's started, everybody's excited, but at the same time, there's been a little congestion in terms of people trying to get to work and to get to school. So I coordinated with the contractor to see if, not to hold them to it, to see if maybe moving it to about 8 o'clock, if possible. If not, you know, they'll work something out. We did have them use a pilot car to kind of help lead that traffic, to kind of help with that. Next slide. Holly Hall Road. We're looking at that towards the end of September. It's going to take about 15 days of mixing, 5 days of milling, and about 5 days of paving. So the way this is working is the sub is working from Island Causeway. They currently have work going on Holly Hall Road. Once they get done with that, then they'll make their way down to Land's End. Next slide. This one here, last time we were here, we had about 3 slides of the pavement markings, what Pete was going to do. It has since been revised to about 27 rows, as you can see. And so right now, I'm working with the contractor to kind of revise or provide pricing for an additional road, 2 roads that were added in Charleston, and then Remount Road that was added as well. And so hopefully, we're looking at about around the first or second week in October to have them starting, because as we get towards to the winter months, you're not going to be able to do that thermoplastic. So hopefully, they get started by November 30th. They'll be done with that. Next slide. And this one here hasn't been much change. This is APAC, coordinated with them, and because they have quite a bit of work going on from in Charleston trying to get down this way. They're looking at starting in the spring of next year, but as you know, they're not looking at completing this job until about September 30th of next year. Next slide. And the same with Land's End. Blythe has one part of Land's End with the CMRB, and then APAC will come in with the other part of it. And this is the same thing as well. They won't be able to get started on this one until the spring of next year. And then the last slide, same thing with Island Causeway. We have the 2 contractors, Blythe on one side with Sanders, and then we have APAC. So this one falls into the same category in terms of spring of next year. But I've been pushing APAC to see if maybe possibly something frees up, if they're able to get down there to start working it.
It's wonderful that the state legislatures gives us more money to spend, but unfortunately, we don't have enough contractors to keep up with the amount of work that's being
Exactly.
provided.
So I guess it's good to have a little bit of a backlog, especially with Black being here. I'm sure they'll tell you the same thing. It's good, it keeps them busy and keep them moving. So one of the things about it is it happened to work out. Jace was able to get the stuff down here. They moved all the equipment down, which allowed them to go ahead and get started on Island Causeway, which the residents are happy didn't do Holly Hall and Land's End. So at least they see some movement, something happened versus the signs being out there for about a year. So, which is a good success story. So that's all I have.
That's a great update. Any questions?
As usual, I have a question. It's a very simple one. Are the lists of the scheduled improvements available on the internet for like the average person?
Yes, ma'am. They should be
Good.
posted out there. Everybody
Because
go out
I
there
know
and take a look.
on social media, there's always, they're never gonna do this and this.
Right.
And so if somebody's doing that, I can say, go to the county
Absolutely.
website and,
They can go to the county website, and also too, whenever the contractor is getting ready to perform work, we actually have to post a media notice so it lets them know in terms of when they're gonna be starting and when they end, and for the duration when they're gonna do it, so that way the public is aware, because it may put them out of way, especially when we have lane closures. So yes, ma'am, they can actually go to the
because you know
website.
how people get kind of,
Yes, I've been fielding quite a few calls ever since we got started, so, but I gotta say, Blythe, they're doing an excellent job out there. The people are very thrilled, so,
great, thanks.
yes, ma'am, you're very welcome.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Seeing none, thanks much.
Thank you, Board.
Rusty, you're up for Dirt Road Projects 53 and 55.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Committee. Dirt Road 53, these roads are all paved. Rainbow Road is complete. Northview and Twickenham are both paved. Northview working towards the final walk with the contractor. And Twickenham was paved on time, and
Mr. Stroman said he's happy.
is he? Good.
Yeah.
And they're working on shoulders and ditches on those right now to get that finished up, so we can meet with Davis and Floyd to do a walk on those.
Twickenham will become a race street where they can just rev their cars up and see how fast they can go on that 1 mile stretch.
It'll be a good one.
Doubt that.
It'll be a good one. All right. Dirt Road 55, Leo Green, James E. Washington, Dolphin Watch. Davis and Floyd is working on design and permitting on that right now.
Good deal. Questions? Anybody on 53 and 55 Dirt Road? All right, see none. Let's move on to Year 7 resurfacing, preservation, rejuvenator.
Crack seal, patching, micro seal, those are all complete on all the preservation roads. The rejuvenator's been complete for quite some time.
Right.
We finished up the Hilton Head roads this week, or last week. We're just waiting for paint and thermo to be able to put that in place so we can finish those up.
Good
Other than that,
deal.
we're done paving. One road, we're waiting to look into a tree removal on a road we added over on Shepherd Lane. So that's the only thing we have hanging out there right now on that.
Mhm. Good deal. Any questions of the committee? All right. We're up to 170 and a triangle update, I believe. Good deal. I see there inside, that note that was added that I've been asking Brian and Rusty to get. This keeps our running total of what we put under contract and completed. Yeah, we'll look at those in a second. You'll find in your packet year 7 contracts, and then the update 2016 through 2024 resurfacing mileage totals. This gives us a running total of 197 miles that we've touched since 2016. That's a major touch in both Beaufort County and the municipalities. Yes, Brian, go ahead, please.
And just on that last note, I mean, the commitment that the committee's made to pavement preservation has gone a long way to affecting the number of miles that we can touch on an annual basis. So I really appreciate that. I guess Jared's not going to be able to join us today, so I'll try to do my best to fill in. The 170 near-term project's still ongoing. They've been paving on 170 and 278 out there. I think they still have surface course to go and permanent thermoplastic. But next, they'll be doing the concrete medians, and that project, with the exception of a few items, should be looking to actually be substantial complete on schedule or close to, minus days for Debbie that were in there. And Triangle had a conversation on that today. We're going to start building the scope for our LPA application here soon, so we can start trying to pull that together and get it out for LPA. So.
One thing, I haven't seen the wall or the demising wall between lanes. How's traffic going up onto 278?
Yeah, that will be, once they get the paving complete, they'll come back and do those medians. I think they're trying to schedule that now. But it's going to be a low-profile median, and it's going to have skips in there for drainage, but it's not going to be an actual, like, parapet wall or anything like that.
Okay.
It's just going to be low-profile medians. But hopefully they should be getting that, those concrete placed in the next couple of weeks. And we did add in with the money that y'all allocated for that paving, there was a 1,000-foot stretch of 170 that was not going to be touched because of the stops and starts that were in the plan. So we included that 1,000-foot stretch in there also. So that should be included with the paving that's ongoing. So
Do we get a price for that?
I want to say that was, I don't recall right offhand. We did get a price and we did a change order for it. I'll get that for you though.
Please do.
Yep.
We had roughly, I think we were planning spending something close to $1 million on it.
Yeah, and on that one, I'm sure this will come up in a little bit, but we've requested pricing to do from the terminus of the Ocady Creek Bridge to
Right.
the next signal, and we're just waiting to get that pricing back from the contractor now, so.
Okay.
So any questions on any of those?
Well, we'll have Jared give us an update then on the triangle and what's going on with it.
Okay, yeah, like I said, we started going to start working on the scope for that one so we can submit our LPA application. So I don't think there's any major updates on that coming forward, but yeah, if he gets in, we'll get him to update that. So, thanks.
Okay. I'm looking at slides here to make certain we're staying somewhat. You've seen the slides we've used for, and had them out showing our paving projects. Rusty said he had one of the signs swiped already.
Really?
That one stolen from Shamrock.
Remarkable.
You could have a race to see how long it takes for the first either cone or sign to be stolen. I thought that would be.
Okay, moving on to new business. Looking in the packet, I think that got missed. We got a new donor bonus apportionment readjustment, and essentially that readjustment reduced some of the dollars we were getting in our donor bonus funds. We'll get that out
Yeah,
to
I'll email it to everyone. I apologize.
everybody. We got it reduced down from 700 and some thousand to 646,000. They had made a mistake in York County and on the number of gallons of gasoline sold, and because of it, it was over projected on the dollar amount that they'd sold, so we wound up reducing the dollar amount, and that dollar amount reduced. There's 15 of us that get donor funds back, and it's just a reminder from the standpoint that the donor funds are not required, we're not required to spend 33% of the donor funds on state projects. We're allowed to spend that strictly on our own projects. Okay, that kind of takes care of donor bonus portion. Any questions on it? Brian, you're up on update on 500 to 2,000 ADT status.
All right, so for the 500 2000 ADT program, this is one that we bid out over the summer. We selected AMT. We were going through contracting. It got tied up in legal and purchasing. So we just got them a executed contract last week. They're getting started with it. We are going to have a meeting next week to discuss that. And that's going to be for them to reevaluate the SCDOT secondaries from 500 to 2,000 ADT and to come up with a 5-year plan for that. But in that, we've also included scope for them to review the current county road program for years 8 and 9 and the current year 3 and 4 program for the DOT secondaries low volume, less than 500. So they're going to prioritize those reviews so we can get that out to bid. So as soon as we can get that back, we can move forward with bidding year 8 of the county program and year 3 of the DOT less than 500 program. So that's going to be upcoming. We can probably get the Rejuvenator out to bid sooner because that's going to be based on work that's been done in the past. So we can probably look to expedite that one and get it out a little bit sooner. And then they will work on the 5-year program for 500 to 2,000 ADT at the same time, so.
Bid package be able to be out by December?
I would think so, yeah. For the years 8 and 9, years 3 and 4, they're just reviewing that, coming up with quantities, and then just making sure the recommendations are still applicable. So I would think December is probably still doable, so.
Okay.
On Bluffton Parkway resurfacing, so in the current contract that Rusty updated, we included patching of Bluffton Parkway. I think y'all allocated, I forget the figure, but 400,000, yeah, for patching. They did a first round of patching that was in the original scope, and they're going to go back out and do more. I think, Jason, should be starting out there in a couple weeks?
Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. So starting out there Sunday. What this is for actual resurfacing from Buck Island Road to Red Cedar. So that's going to go out to bid. We're been slammed in the department, but we're hoping to get that out to bid in the next couple weeks. We got to get the quantities and the bid package together. We have a new procurement software that we're using, so there's a lot of things snowballed and slowed that one down. But hopefully that will go out to bid in the next couple weeks here.
We would, I understand from Chris saying she's going to training class tomorrow to get update on the new purchasing, all the new purchasing procedures.
Yeah.
It's definitely, like, it's great the county council took care of all the issues facing purchasing and everything else, but it's really slammed things up and slowed things down. This has
Yeah.
really been a pain in the rear.
Yeah, so last week we had training on the new procurement software, and this week we're having training on the new procurement code. So it's just a lot going on at the same time, so.
Well, just think how wonderful it'll be when it's all working.
Yeah, and, the new software looks great, so hopefully when we get it, it will expedite the process, so we're not facing backlogs like this, and once we get it out, still gotta wait the 30 days, but hopefully getting it to that point will be a lot easier and simpler, so.
The big question, and the biggest question I have, because we're a separate entity, and yes, we are allowed to follow the procurement codes. of Beaufort County. But at the same token, we must adhere to the procurement codes of the state at the same time. And those need to make certain that that occurs, because I don't want to be sitting here next fall worried about being audited
Yes, sir.
and us not being in compliance because the new software doesn't meet that criteria.
Yeah, no, they've made sure that all that matches and that everything follows state procurement code. So it's, I mean, they have a software that they use now called vendor registry for it. So it's just an updated software to streamline the system. So, but they've checked in on all that, made sure that everything follows state code. So I think we're all good there.
Mark that in the meeting minutes.
And then get
So-
some federal funds come in to add to the,
He was going more.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Next one is status of Burke's Beach and Goethe Road, the turnover to
Is there any,
municipalities.
before we go on, was there any questions? We approved the resurfacing of Bluffton Parkway. We put 400,000 out to make the repairs, and then we approved the pavement from Buck Island down to Red Cedar. So I'm just regrouping everybody so that we're all on the same wavelength. Any questions about that? If not, move on to item D.
Okay, so this concerns the turning over some county roads over to municipalities. So with Burke's Beach and the roads surrounding that area, so I don't know if everyone is aware, I know the chairman is aware, but the director of engineering at Hilton Head recently left, so that has put a kind of a stop on things there for communication. We've had communication with staff over there about this, but without having a director or someone in charge, we can't make that decision. But those conversations are ongoing. On Goethe Road, the last conversation we had, we were still working through the details of that. Did not seem that they were as inclined as they once were, but that project should be going out to bid hopefully for roadway improvements in the next couple of weeks as well. So hopefully, once we can get that, we're incorporating some traffic calming into it that they requested. So hopefully we can have that conversation again and get that one turned over as well.
As a backdrop, Goethe Road was in our year six, I believe it was.
Sounds
And
right, yeah.
It got postponed because of sidewalk work that was being done in the town of Bluffton. They were doing a lot of repairs and new sidewalk work. And so they asked us to postpone it, but at the same time, we've said to them, you know, they're out annexing stuff instead of taking a road that's in their downtown. I mean, this section of Goethe Road is next to downtown Bluffton. It should be on the top of our list to take and make control with zoning and everything else. The other one we have to put back on that list, and I was delinquent in doing that, is Arrow Road, that little 1,000-foot stretch of Arrow Road. Town of Hilton Head, I don't know why you all haven't taken that. The administrator has wanted, at one point in time, wanted it, came to us. Do you have any idea no idea what's going on with them?
I will ask.
Please do. Thank you much.
Next
Any
one.
questions?
Sorry.
Did I hear Burke's Beach Road
Yes, sir.
transfer?
To Town of Hilton Head.
We would like to, yes, sir.
That's my is that a request from the town, or is that a request from us to the town?
It's a request from the county to the town.
It was actually both ways at one point in time. They came to me and talked about it, and then we provided them with the meets and bounds of Burke's Beach. They have a plan in place because of soccer fields and stuff that's adjacent to it, that they want to change the parking and so on along it. And because of it, they wanted to take over control of it. So it has been back and forth, and it's currently in their hands. They have everything all they have to do is sign. We gave them the documents even to sign it over to them.
Is there anything that the county needs to do before the transfer is effective?
I mean, we need to, so there's been several changes in leadership over there since these discussions happened. And I think we need, once a new director is established, that's going to be another conversation to see what's still viable. Because there was discussions early on, like the chairman mentioned, about them wanting to build the park and wanting to do improvements to Burke's Beach as part of the park project. Every time I've asked about the park, I've been told it's a couple years away. So I think, that park may have been delayed. I don't have a better update than that, but yeah, so that's would be, the goal is when they do that park project to turn over Burke's Beach and the roads off of Burke's Beach, because by that time, I believe we will have resurfaced or treated every one of those roads, so.
Have we resurfaced and treated that road?
We have recently patched Burke's Beach. We did significant patching over there. And it was resurfaced before I came over to the county, but it was resurfaced sometime within the last, I'd say, 10 years, because I know they did restriping over there, so.
But anything else that we need to do, the county,
No.
Yeah, no, we've just done patching recently, so
Okay.
We've
within,
given them the documents. I mean, everything, they could have signed it and it been done, and all it has to do is go before county council and get the county's approval, but.
and
we've
we
given-
definitely wouldn't do something in the future without the transfer being signed, right?
I don't think it occurs on our plans in the near future, no. But yeah, I think that would be a discussion before we did anything, knowing what's going to happen to it, because we would hate to resurface a road and then to have them come back to rebuild it. So I don't think we would want to spend the money knowing that there would be a big improvement project coming for a park at a semi-recent or near future date, so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on item D? Okay, the Fusky Island resurfacing.
Okay, this is another one where a contractor was on the island doing some paving in a private community. We were hoping to piggyback while they were out there and get an area resurfaced in front of the fire station that is causing some issues with the vehicles and the fire vehicles and EMS over there. We could not make that happen due to various circumstances there. So we are working with Public Works to see about getting a patching material to get over there and to patch those potholes as a short-term solution until we can potentially do a larger term, long-term repair, hopefully within the next year, so.
Again, that was something we had approved, and it was a small dollar amount. It was like $200,000, something like that, 2.25.
Yeah, I want to say the final quote ended up being around 260.
Yeah.
It was a little bit higher than we expected, but it was about 260. And we've studied it, and we're given a few options between, a new asphalt surface, doing a concrete section there. And it just happened that, they were doing asphalt work on the island, so we were hoping to take advantage of that, and it just didn't work out. So we'll get back to the drawing table, figure out a long-term solution. But the patching material we've looked at using, they did a demo for us over on Bluffton Parkway by Persimmon. And that was 6-8 months ago, and the last time I drove by, it was still there. So we have high hopes. We need to get with them and follow up. But so that's what we're hoping to do out there, is use this thermoplastic patch material that will hopefully hold up a little bit better than cold patch asphalt. So
I think I've seen pictures of it. It kind of reminds me of what went on Benton Hill, how the trucks coming out have tore up the front end area.
Yeah,
Aprons
exactly,
going
yep.
into the fire department.
Yep, that's exactly what's happened, so.
And so that was the hope of being able to capitalize on having paving contractor that was there and piggybacking with it. So that was our goal.
Okay.
You're still up, Brian. We'll go to your number F.
Okay, yep, in year 8, we are waiting on AMT to get their reevaluations updated, and once we get that, we'll get that out to bid, hopefully by December, and we will work to get the Rejuvenator out prior to that, so.
Any questions? Item G, that's up to me. Item G is, we've reworked the 24-25 transportation plan. Again, it doesn't have to be signed until November. So I'm encouraging you all to, if there's anything, please take a few moments. We need to, Brian, incorporate our future year paving programs in it, because it currently isn't in it. We need to incorporate our 5-year program. We need to incorporate our 500 to 2,000 in it. So Chris and Brian kind of make certain they get added to it. And we'll add into it whenever 500 and less ADT is done.
Yeah, and that's something that we've discussed is coming up with, so we're not, year 3 in this plan, year 1 in this one, year 9 in this one, come up with an overarching plan. So as soon as we get those updated plans from A&T, we will conglomerate all that together and come up with just one plan. So.
Good. Jared was here for Hilton Head Bridge report. There's the slide that I was looking for, actually. Shows up. This was presented to County Council, and this kind of gives a little bit of a roadmap of when construction being completed by 2030. So if they find the dollars to be able to finish it. Any questions from anybody? You're being good, Craig.
I promised you I wouldn't beat this thing to death. I'm kind of surprised to see it on the agenda again. I thought we had a gentleman's agreement not to talk about it.
Well, I felt it was important, at least this was out to county council, so I
I'm glad to see
figured.
it pop up occasionally. It's such a small project.
Now, is this definite this time?
I can't answer that.
Or it's another interim?
This is the interim update. How's that?
Okay. No, I mean, because I hadn't seen anything somewhere that it was final, but I thought I was in Spain for a couple of weeks, and that might have.
I have a question. Has Fonzie actually been approved, or is that projected to be approved?
That's projected to be approved,
And so is the 60% design?
yes.
That hadn't been.
Those are all projected. Okay. Treasury report. Before you talk, Mr. Backer, I want to say, thank you, Chris. This is large enough, at least we can read it without a microscope.
Well, what you have in the package is really the year-end report for fiscal year '24. Fiscal year ended in June, but everything wasn't closed until September 1st. So this is the final snapshot of '24. Just some quick highlights of the year. We started fiscal year '24 with a balance of a little over about $9.3 million. We had revenue of just over $4 million, expenditures of approximately $7.8 million. That left us a balance of just about $5 million at year end, and that includes the $500,000 that we hold in reserve as part of that. Right now, Chris is rolling over a lot of the requisitions that are carrying over for projects that carry over into '25, and then putting in new POs for this current year's project. So at the next meeting, we'll have a view of where we are, several months into the fiscal year, and then also projections for how we're going to finish out the year. But looking at '25, fiscal year '25 estimated revenue, C fund recurring revenues about almost 2.7 million. As Chairman Gordon noted a couple of minutes ago, the donor bonus was adjusted to $646,000, and the non-recurring funds from the 200 million statewide allocation, Beaufort County's portion was about 4.6 million. So we're expecting revenues in '25 of like $7.9 million. And if you add that on to our year-end balance of 5 million, there's a lot of money that you spend, and the constraints of being able to spend that kind of money. You know, we've got the projects, but having the ability to actually execute the projects with contractors is going to be a challenge to actually spend the funds that we're fortunate to have.
I made that quite a point whenever I was at the state CTC meeting. They typically, when they give us the funding, they give you 1 year to spend it in. And that's an enormous amount of money to suck up in 1 year. 5.8 million is of the 200 million that we got. It's a sizable amount of money. And with the limited amount of contractors that are here able to perform the work, makes it even more difficult. So it's a headache, and all we can do is do our best at spending it. Good news is we've managed our funds very well, and as everybody remembers, I'm sure, that we're allowed up to 300% of our annual funding to have in our balance. So it's not money that we necessarily have to throw away. We can still maintain it and use it in the out years judiciously and take on additional years' work. Any questions about the budget and questions of Jim on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, we'll move on again to public comment. Is there any public comments to be made? Anybody have any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Could you just remind me how many miles of dirt roads we have left? Someone asked me that question.
I think the number, and I'm checking my brain, I think it's something like 66 or 68, something in that.
It's right around 70.
Yeah, I was gonna say 71 is what I thought, but so right around 70?
Yes,
And we do 3 miles a year?
about 1.5.
Oh, 1.5. So it'll be in perpetuity.
Yeah.
For right now, yes.
Oh.
But also remember, Tab, I think there's 45 miles of that 45 or 48 miles of it that they don't have even right-of-way or anything close to it. It's a large number, so the number of miles that are left to be done in dirt roads is relatively small. It's probably no more than 20 miles of dirt roads, 20 to 25 miles of the whatever's residual because of not having right-of-way. And those right-of-way, I think you'll also find a lot of those roads that they aren't giving up the right-of-way, that the county Public Works Department still uses graders and goes out and maintains them, even though the county doesn't own them.
And the reason I ask is when we were out at Battery Creek, talking about the referendum, people said, well, why can't you do all the dirt roads in 1 year? And I remembered something about 3 in a year. And now this is important when right-of-way comes into that. We just talked about this the other day at council. I don't think people understand right-of-way isn't a snap of your fingers. It takes time. So I think that's really an important thing for residents to hear.
It's a long-term process, and what's even worse is there are a lot of these heirs roads that have been there, and people have roads or that live on lots that front a state route. They aren't granting the right-of-way for the people that live behind them because they don't have to. They have direct access out onto a public highway, so there's no reason for them to give up the right-of-way on property that's adjacent to them. And it's a large number. It's 45 or 48 miles of dirt roads that are, we do not have right-of-way on them, and there's no, I know the right-of-way department spent a lot of time on it, and there's no future in those 48 miles, or people are not going to give up the right-of-way. They've made it pretty adamant.
I just want correct information to report out at council on Monday. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, Jason with Blythe. I wanted to defend the contractors briefly, real quick. I've heard that comment a couple times. I just came back from Columbia. We met with the DOT up there. We have a big project on 95 where we had a change order executed to switch actual asphalt designs because of resource issues. If you consider that Blythe and APAC are owned by CHR and we're owned by Vinci, two of the largest construction firms in the world, I could get multiple crews down here tomorrow, both us asphalt producers, I don't want to speak for APAC, I'll speak for us. We are on a sand allotment of 100 tons a day out of Deerfield CMEX. So 500 tons a week at 20%, I can only produce 2,500 tons of asphalt if I want to with sand in it, okay? That's one day's worth of production for both of us, right? There's a gross allotment of tons that are allowed to be made in the state of South Carolina through your two aggregate producers. If you take that percentage of gross rock, and let's call it 35 million, give or take, only 10% of that rock can create a rock called number 7 stone. That number 7 stone has to be shipped between every single county, every project in the state of South Carolina, right? So if I had a crew in Charlotte or Greensboro that I want to put on 95 tomorrow, I couldn't. So the change order I just changed on I-95 in Dorchester was a product of the quarries not giving us the material that we need, so they're going to let us put this material together. So while it does feel like there's only 2 down this way, and there's 2 in Charleston and these different areas, there are things that that handcuff us from doing our jobs, right? And this 0 to 8 wide and all the stuff that's coming up and all these projects are only going to make it worse. So I just want to make sure that is somewhat communicated. I'll be glad to share letters, emails. We've already done it in Columbia. We had to make the same kind of conversation, and I just want to make sure that we do speak, that it's just not, oh, it's just like contractors can't perform. There are things that are kind of hamstringing us from what we can do. And as these mega projects come down here, your Flatirons, Beaufort, Beatties, Lanes, all these, they don't care about Beaufort and Jasper. You wait till they get a big project and start charging 200 tons, $200 an hour for trucks. And you wait to see how much this money doesn't take you the way it goes to. It's a constant battle we're fighting, especially with the gas tax, and it's not spending the same value of what it is. I think we spoke in the parking lot last time we were here. You want to go look and see how much people are making outside of contractors, just go read a Martin Marietta or a Vulcan earnings report. They'll be glad to tell you how much money they're making.
They're making lots.
So we were paying $17 a ton for aggregate. When I came down here 8-9 years ago, I got quoted in the highway letting this month, $30 a ton. So y'all run that numbers over 8 years and see what that percent of return is. It's tough, and then we're tied to rail, we're tied to trucking. I mean, CSX calls us up tomorrow and says they're not gonna ship material to us. I mean, we can't do anything.
Yep.
So I just wanna make sure I bring that up. I know we
Thank
do
you.
have our problems, right? And
Yep.
I wish we had more, but you do have 2 resources and 2 players in this market who could tomorrow make stuff happen, but when I can only get so much and only generate so much, we're kind of hamstrung in what we can do.
I appreciate your comments.
Sorry about that.
My comments are pretty simple today. I have been considering having a retreat again in February, and the idea being somewhat what we did, a reboot of what we did several years ago with paving contractors coming in and talking about different products and so on. We've had enough turnover in the committee. Whenever we talk about microsurfacing or rejuvenator or any of the different products we're using, I think it's good to make certain everybody's on board with what we're actually doing with that. And I will invite some contractors as well to that meeting. If anybody has ideas that they'd like to share with me, might do it after the meeting, or simply send me an email or give me a call. Would certainly be interested in it, but kind of planned in mid-February for us to have a retreat again, and we'll see where we go from there.
Where's the food coming from?
Where would you like?
I mean, that's the key. The rest of it is,
Where would you like?
what, Jim and Nick's?
Yeah, that's where it was the last time.
That's what you guys want to listen.
We can do
No, if
that.
anybody else, I just threw that out. I mean, that's,
I'm open.
I'm
not hard to get along with. All right, thanks, everybody. See nothing else to come before this meeting adjourned.